Welcome back to another episode of the Cardboard Podcast covering the Formula One card hobby. I'm your host, Brian, Q3 Cards, joined as always with my good friend Scott from the P1 Castle.
What's going on? Pumped for this episode. This is gonna be a fun episode. Not that the other ones aren't fun, but this one in particular will be fun.
It will be fun. We are on, as of the time of recording, it's late night on the East Coast.
Is.
We're 11 hours from Monaco qualifying?
I think so. Yep.
11
hours.
So we got this fun episode. I'm not going to do as much like a 10-minute intro like we usually do here because, this is our second episode of the week, making things happen. This might actually even drop at a non-10 a.m. Eastern time slot because some very timely information we've got to get out.
That's right. We're talking Monaco Pick'em, and you got to get your picks in an hour before qualifying. And that should make sense that it's before, not after, given that you have to predict the pole position. So you can't wait. But yeah, get your picks in.
I got to get mine in. I'm going to do that right after we get done recording here. All right, so we're going to talk Monaco. Very exciting qualifying. The race itself, Scott, I know will be interesting to see how the mandatory 2 pit stops works out.
Calling it right now, 8+ people are going to pit on lap 1. That should have been my Castle call. Dang.
You could still fix it.
I can't now. I've already posted.
Hop in the DeLorean through the power of deleting Instagram posts.
Audible.
Call the audible there. And after that, we teased it last time out. We are going to rank. Scott, I know you love your rankings.
Oh, man. I love a good ranking.
You love your brackets. This isn't going to be a bracket.
If I could have made it a bracket, I would have. We can.
We could. I think we could. We might be able to take like what we were talking before we hit record. I mean, we figured out like what the top 4 is.
I think maybe what we could do is make a bracket like 8 slots, but like have one of them get a bye, basically, right?
How about this? So we are ranking all of the 2024 tops Formula One releases.
All 7.
All 7. Scott, just thought of this. Let's get everybody in the chat, in the comments down below, because this isn't live. We actually were joking. Like, how do we do this live sometime? Get some live comments. We will talk to our people and see if we can get that to happen. I was talking to Ferg from Rated Rips earlier today, talking some business, and he's like, Brian, when am I going to get on the podcast? You got to make that happen.
He's got to make the donation.
53 episodes, and we've yet to have a guest.
Well, you know what? I think once our viewer count eclipses how many episodes we have, that's when you bring on the guest, right? And I think last time we were at 37. Have we hit 40 yet? Do we have 40?
So I made a faux pas earlier this week too, where I was, giving the shout out to the P1 Castle Legends chat, and I bestowed listener number 21 to AJ. Well, actually, Brent is actually listener 21. I actually bought a card off him from eBay this week. It got sent to me all the way from Germany, and the box looks like it had seen better days, but through the expert packing in between, the card was minty fresh, probably off to PSA soon. But Brent actually did leave a little note, and he said, love the podcast, loyal listener number 21.
What? Well, it could just be like everyone is listener 21. Like everyone that listens is all listener 21. That can be like a little.
Anyways, this idea, because ADHD is running rampant right now, and tangents aplenty
galore.
Scott, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24.
Okay.
All products bracket.
Oh man. So the 1 seeds have to be the 2020 products. I wonder what product would be a 1 seed, because so obviously 2020 Dynasty, Sapphire, and Chrome are all 1 seeds. What other product would be a 1 seed? Maybe we won't give it away, but maybe our top ranked product from this year could be a 1.
That would actually honestly probably be my choice. So
Oh, I know what I'm doing after this podcast. I'm putting together a little bracket. Oh,
that'll be our second episode next week.
see, Bryan knows what gets me going. Here we go.
Yep.
Brackets,
Brackets.
Formula One products.
Let's talk Monaco. So, Scott, we had practice 1, practice 2 today.
Yeah.
My grid gainer, Charles Leclerc,
Dude.
hometown boy, delivering. I just knew it.
This guy right here, he knows.
Yep.
He knows what's going on.
I know things.
That's right.
But
he looks really good.
Look at the matchup number 2 here on screen, Scott.
Yeah. I mean, it's one that, like, you know, it's funny because so obviously again, 2 races ago, and I think it was Jeddah, it was like the most chalkiest chalk of matchups and then results. So we had 67 people get perfect brackets and everything. So then last week in Imola, like I said, I went demon mode and I made like the hardest matchups. I tried to put people against people they're closest to, and exactly what we thought would happen happened. Average score was 29.4, lowest it's ever been. Someone did manage 50 points, which
I managed
is
19,
impressive.
I think. I looked. I think I managed 19
God.
points. I think that was my worst week of the season so far.
It was a lot of people's worst week. So this week, it's a little bit in between that. There's some tough matchups for sure. There are, I think, some, kind of slam dunks, as you would say. But because it's Monaco and qualifying matters so much, you got to kind of look at things a little bit differently. You kind of throw race pace out of the window a little bit. And you got to look at who's been qualifying where. And based on, especially last time out, right, in Imola, Ferrari, both of them out in Q2. So you would think, oh, slam dunks here. Oscar over Leclerc, Max over Lewis. But based on FP1 and FP2, I don't know if those are looking like slam dunks anymore. So I don't know.
Ferrari's going back to the 2024 Magic, running a very similar rear wing that they did.
The same one, actually.
Oh, the same
they
one.
Actually have. They are using their 2020. It was funny. I was listening to P1 with Matt and Tommy, and they were talking about it because they were like, yeah, they put the 2024 wing on, and now it's going really good. And they're like, oh, yeah, why don't they just use last year's car? Let's just use all of 2024. And who knows? Maybe they'll be better. But yeah, it does seem to be working. So that's good to see for them. So let me go through the matchups real quick, and then we'll get into, I want to hear your 1 and your 10, and I'll get my 1 and 10, and then we'll get back into the products because I'm excited for that. So we've got Lando against Yuki. You'd think slam dunk. You got Oscar against Leclerc. Okay. We've got Max against Lewis, which could actually be very spicy. George Russell against Alex Albon. Could be a really good matchup here. Kimi Antonelli against Gasly. We've got Alonso against Hulkenberg. Alonso, who said himself was the most unluckiest driver on the grid.
Always car 14.
Always car 14. We've got Lance Stroll against Gabriel Bortoleto. Sainz against Lawson. And the V-carbs looked very quick. In FP2, Lawson and Hadjar, 5th and 6th. That's crazy. Crazy talk. Ocon against Colapinto. Colapinto looks like he is just trying to survive the weekend, man. Like, he is last by a long shot. Like, Gasly was in 17th, so the Alpine just doesn't look good here. But Colapinto was over a second off of Gasly. Like, I think Colapinto is like, listen, if I come in 20th, like, it is what it is. The car was slow. There's no huge headlines. If I crash the car, it's 2 races in a row. If I'm Colapinto, I'm like, oh, there's an issue with the car. Retire. Just retire the car on lap 1. And then we got Behrman against Isaac Hadjar at the end. So I think, like I said, there's some that you'd think would be, a little bit slam dunky. And there's some really good matchups. So where would you put your 10? What do you think is the most sure thing out of all of what we got here?
It is a very tough call, but I think you kind of stole my thunder with my 10. Is I think Ocon over Colapinto is for
Mm,
all the reasons that you just said. I think Colapinto is has he has to see the checkered flag,
yeah.
even if it means he's finishing 20th. His racing style is not suited for this
Crashing?
course. Correct. Crashing
I'm
crashing
just
could
kidding.
happen quite a
I'm
bit.
kidding. Argentinian fans, I am kidding. Argentine fans, please do not
That
harass our
that
families.
YouTube algorithm just gained us like probably like 2,000 new viewers that are all
That
gonna,
are all gonna destroy us in the comments. So
It is. So Scott, what's your slam dunk?
So my 10, I'm actually going up to the top. I think Lando over Yuki. And I think it's because Lando looks really good. I mean, the McLarens look phenomenal here. Like as good as Ferrari does look, like the McLarens look really good. And I think they have some pace in hand for qualifying. So I think Lando also because, dude, it's just the second Red Bull seat is cursed. We talked about it, right? I mean, Yuki crashed in qualifying last week. He had a great drive back, but how many times did we talk about this with Sergio Perez? It was either a crash in qualifying or just like out in Q1 or whatever. And it's like, oh, but great recovery drive. Sure. But like it's just I just feel like it's kind of rinse repeat. And I think this is the most highest stakes qualifying and after crashing in Imola, like, I just don't see Yuki getting there. I will say he's only, like I think he was, like, 300ths or thousandths or whatever off of Max. He was really close to Max. They finished, like, 10th and 11th. Very close to each other in FP2. But I mean, I would bet the farm on Max having 3, maybe 4 tenths on Yuki come qualifying when all is said and done. So I think Max holds a lot back. Yeah, I just think Lando is going to absolutely destroy Yuki qualifying wise. And then in the race, I mean, it's just so tough. And like, granted, it is the mandatory 2 pit stops. So we will see things switched up a little bit. Again, I think a lot of drivers are going to just pit on lap 1. That was actually a strategy even when it wasn't mandatory double pit stops that was used years ago. Ruth Buscombe was talking about it. She employed that strategy. And the reason is you can pit on lap 1 because during that first, like those first couple laps, right? The grid is so bunched up that like no one is going at full speed. Like think of it when you're in traffic, right? When you like the car in front maybe can go full pace, but then
Mhm.
everyone behind them, like you don't get to go until the car in front of you goes, and it just creates this concertina effect, and you just can't get all of your pace out of the car, right? So all those cars that are still going around are going slow. So the cars that pit first, then they come out and they're in relatively clear air. Now, granted, if like 15 people pit, then it won't actually work because then they'll all be bunched up and the ones that didn't pit will actually be able to go faster. But I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot of people pit. All that to say, Lando is my 10. Book it. Who's your 1, Brian? Who do you think might just barely get the job done?
This is tough. I
Oh man.
I'm gonna put my 1 on Piastri and Leclerc just because I'm really confident in Leclerc this weekend. I
So you're
think
putting it on Leclerc?
yes.
Oh my
Well, no, I
god,
mean, I'm
Brian's
putting it on Piast
PC.
I'm
Oh,
putting it
okay,
on P
okay.
I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
for the matchup, it's a 1. I would
But
put it on Piastri, but
okay, okay.
I think I think Leclerc could I think you're looking at 1-2 in the race
Could be.
in any
It definitely
order.
could be. Because Oscar looked really good last year too, right? He was on Leclerc the entire time, you know? He's
It
just so
like,
hard to overtake.
we I cannot and you cannot, state this anymore. Getting pole position here matters more than anywhere else.
Absolutely.
So as you're hopefully catching this really quickly before the race starts, before qualifying starts on Saturday, I honestly think you're looking at Piastri or Leclerc on pole, and obviously, but I think I don't feel, because we don't know the results of qualifying yet. I think either or is going to win. So I wouldn't certainly feel comfortable throwing 10 on either of them.
No, definitely not.
Now, I do have to make up a lot of ground in the standings, so I might do
true.
something crazy like that. But
Yeah, but honestly, here's the thing: we're on race 8.
8
There's so many races to
consistency
go.
matters.
Yeah, like even if I'm talking to people that have missed a race, right? They're like, "Oh, I missed a race, like it's over." I'm like, "It's not though. It's really not. You still got 13 races left, right? Because it's the first 20, and then we take the top 16. So there is plenty of time. Just be consistent. Don't miss another one, and get them in on time. Claw it back. Okay, so I was going to say, I thought if you were going to say Leclerc, then like I was like, oh, Brian's PC just went down like 25%. Because he's betting against his own guy. But I like it. Okay, I like Piastri. I will say there's an interesting opportunity here for Leclerc to grand slam this. Like he had FP1, FP2. He could be fastest in FP3, and then if he is on pole and wins, like there's a chance Leclerc, breaks it out. Gets
just for all the
lap.
reasons we talked about him being a grid gainer. I mean, this is sometimes
Nostradamus over here.
sometimes like the underlying data or there's like just a really odd result or something kind of crazy happens. You can't always just go based on the final standings of how
Throw
they
the form book out the window.
exactly. All right, Scott, who's your
my
least confident?
So I am actually going to stay with a similar matchup in that there's one driver from the team. I'm going with the Max and Lewis Hamilton matchup.
I thought you might.
And if you saw, my prediction for pole was Max Verstappen. My prediction for the race win was Max Verstappen. And then my castle call was there'd be overtakes. But so that was before I saw Ferrari's pace.
I saw it.
I'm actually going to put a 1 on Lewis Hamilton here.
Ooh.
And I think that is an opportunity because, again, I think this, so many people are going to pick Max. I'm sure everyone that already put theirs in picked Max. So I think this is an opportunity to steal some points back because I don't think a lot of people are going to pick Lewis. Yeah, so I like Lewis. I think it's going to be really close. Max always is special in qualifying. But Lewis has done really well here. I mean, statistically over his career, he's the best at Monaco. So he's got a good qualifying lap in him. And the Ferrari looks pretty hooked up. We'll see if it lasts. But yeah, I'm putting my 1 on the 7-time world champion, Lewis Hamilton.
AJ would say that's a good pick.
You're lagging a little bit, but that's all right. Up next, we've got our products. So we're going to do our 2025 product breakdown. Okay, now I think you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Technology. Anytime I try to go like the super 4K, it doesn't like it on my internets. So I'm back to looking blurry, which as long as we get this episode in, that's all that really matters. So anyways, as you just stated, drum roll, please. We are going to go through the 2024 product rankings, which I'm just now looking at the slide on top and it says 2025 product rankings, but that's okay. It's in the year 2025. You can't even blame this one on F1 Ben.
Yeah, we should put like a 4. No, I know I made them. This is all my fault. Yeah, normally I can blame on Ben. This time it's me. Yeah, we're in 2025.
Right, so
2024.
All right. So here we go. We are going to go one by one. We'll reveal each of our line items across and why we see it. Actually, no, we'll alternate. That'll make it for better audio and video content here. So we're going worst to first. So
First to first,
my
baby.
my 7 was Paddock Pass. So
Tell me about
my
it.
reasons for that, I think it was a fun product, an interesting product. We got some new parallels. We got some new inserts, some new memorabilia cards with some of the relics. I was not a huge fan, Scott, of the mixed paper / chromium.
Hmm.
As somebody that prides myself on the condition of cards and trying to get our Castleites the best grades possible if they choose to grade their cards with P1 Castle grading through PSA.
That's right.
They didn't grade well.
Paper's tough.
Paper is tough. There are some things you can do with paper cards to give yourself some better chances. However, the biggest issue with these, Scott, was some of the, especially the auto cards, I think was the biggest letdown, was some of the chipping on the back of,
Mm-hmm.
they all had really dark backs to the cards, which was usually subjective to chipping. And when a card chips like that, it actually is usually very light or white underneath. So it's very obvious that there's issues with the card.
Yep.
The relic cards they got really dinged up. So those also didn't grade well. But I will say it was a nice entry point. And Scott, my one positive thing to say about Paddock Pass is the fact that it was one of the products that was available at retail
Sure.
in blasters and stuff like that. I know that I have one of my good friends who's a huge Formula One fan now, thanks to me roping him in, getting him to watch Drive to Survive, watches all the races now. Huge Mercedes fan.
Right.
A couple months ago, he sent me a photo, and it was like a Toto Wolff, like I don't even know if it was a parallel or anything. He goes, "Did I just hit the jackpot? I've got a Toto Wolff card now." So the fact that it's just like it got Formula One cards into more fans' hands, I think was a plus.
Yeah. No, I agree. Cool. My
Your
number 7.
7.
That's right. My number 7 is Echelenza. So Echelenza, this was 2023's like huge product that like 3x, from when it came out. Everyone was obsessed with it. This year, I think it was a decent product, right? I mean, I remember when it was coming out, it was like, wow, there's dual autos in it. There's some booklets. Like, this is like really like Dynasty Light. It's a big upgrade. But the issue for Echelenza is that it was like the 4th or 5th release in a 2-month window. Everyone was already doing like other products. It wasn't the first year of it anymore. So like it didn't have that first year, luster and everything. So it really kind of fell flat. People didn't break a ton of it. People weren't really into it. There was still, like the Echelenza loyalists who loved the product that were, eager to rip it. But overall, it just wasn't very well received. I like Echelenza just as a product. I think they look beautiful in hand, but I don't love like a 7 card product where you're basically, 90% of the time you're getting a napkin relic of Esteban Ocon. Like literally. I feel like Esteban Ocon had 5,000 relics in this product. And it was fun for a little while, but yeah, my least favorite of the year. I think just the timing when it came out, the way it was released, and just so many napkins. I think it felt like way more napkins than last year. Because like last year, it felt like you could, even on the ones that weren't numbered, right? You'd end up with some crazy patches. And this year, I mean, I probably ripped 200 boxes, and I don't know, I'd say 180 of them were napkins. So, yeah, for those reasons, I'm out.
So I had Echelenza one spot higher,
Mm,
and I put them one spot higher just because I thought they did the relics better than Paddock Pass did.
Fair enough.
The I can't say, Scott, I was the biggest fan of, like, the kind of like the L shape
Mm,
window for the relics.
that's right.
And to your point, I think Ocon, Sainz, and actually Lewis had the most because there was that third, uh, insert that they did for, like,
Mm.
in memorandum of their time with leaving a team, and they'd been with the team for multiple years. So,
Yeah. Hey,
that
we've got this suit from their old team that we gotta
yeah,
use.
exactly. So, that was a big reason why there was more of those. They did up the print run. There was more legends. The I'm not a huge fan of, like, the car cards with Echelons, especially if you've got one of your 3 hits and one of them is like the Machina,
Yeah, the car.
and it isn't, um,
I hear you.
you know, it worked too well, but
Yeah, I think overall, it makes sense why, looks like you'd have Echelenza a little bit higher. I imagine they probably also graded a bit better. That was one of the things that I feel like was pretty good with Echelenza is that they would grade a bit better because those cards, I feel like maybe because it's like the thicker bit of the card, like they do seem to come out pretty clean compared to like the paper from Paddock Pass. The really thin stuff would get wrecked. And sorry, I was filling in there because you were lagging a little bit. So now we'll move to my sixth here. So I've got Paddock Pass. So we kind of just flip flopped on the last two. So the reason that I had Paddock Pass above Echelenza is because it's a new product, right? It was the first year they've done it. I really did like the imagery. Like I liked the fact that it was all primarily like pictures in the paddock, right? Which makes sense, called Paddock Pass. It's like your pass into the paddock. So it's a lot of like the drivers walking the paddock and all that stuff. We got to see drivers like Pato Award, like reserve drivers, Jack Doohan, they got more than just, a reserve driver auto or whatever it was. They got actual cards, which I think was really cool. So we saw some first appearances for folks. I really liked the design of some of the autos. I remember I pulled the Racing Line signatures, Charles Leclerc, one of one kind of gold foil fractor. That is a beautiful card. I really did like some of the designs. But at the same time, I also didn't like some of the designs, right? Like, really not a fan of like the car autos, really not. And you add to that they're paper with a sticker auto. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. And then yeah, I mean, I just don't like paper. I really just don't like paper. Like as I was ripping it was funny because like when it came out, I was excited about it. It was really fun to rip, but I remember thinking like I will personally never collect this. Like there were a couple things that I like. Actually, prolific. The prolific cards I think are beautiful. They are some of the best looking cards in the entire year across all sets. So that might be like one of the ones that I would collect. But in general, I'm just not into paper. And I'm just thinking as I'm going through, I'm like, oh my God, there's just so much paper base. Like this is not a product I would ever rip for myself. Again, another reason I put it above Echelenza is the same reason, you said for one of your pluses for them is I did love that it was retail. There are folks around here, some of my friends who've never had F1 cards or anything. They're like, dude, I just bought like a pack of F1 cards at Target. They're like, "Is
mhm.
this like what's this worth?" And I'm like, "Yeah, not much." but one of my friends actually hit a Trophy Hunters George Russell, which I sold on singles show for like $100. So they made out well on that. But it was a fun set. I remember when it came out, folks were talking about. I remember we were like product of the year, but I think we can solidly say no, no, not product of the year. But a fun product, a different product, and for that reason, I put it in sixth. So who you got in fifth?
Alright, so this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Uh, 5th Scott, I had chrome.
Okay.
I had chrome here because of qualifying lap.
Oh yeah, we didn't actually like put that in there. That could
Well,
be an
it's
eighth
it's
product.
it's part of chrome in my book, and it's
Yeah,
why
but
chrome
like
isn't
so is
higher.
logo, right?
No, but to me, it was all the same. The same parallels and stuff were in. Some of them were in chrome. There were some specific ones for
Uh,
qualifying lap, like ray waves. So to me, just like we would consider chrome and light in prior years the same product, essentially. It's just a different way to buy it.
Fair
Potato,
enough.
potato.
Yeah.
The hit rates on Chrome, Scott, were just atrocious, not only in
Tough.
qualifying laps. So you open a case of qualifying lap, you're going to
Oh.
get absolute nothing.
No, nothing.
You might end up with a lava, the magenta lava, like, is your best hit out of an entire case. It's just tops, do better next time.
Yeah, they know it too. They know they missed on that one.
Yeah, so just in general, like the QC overall, when you compare Chrome to Logo to Sapphire, it came in third in my book, and it just didn't have really any of that pizzazz for me as it did in years past. And for me, and we're just gonna have to get used to it. And I know we talked about it on some of the episodes where some of the products aren't gonna have all the autos you're looking for. But for me, to me, Chrome is kind of the flagship tops product. The fact that there wasn't portrait autographs of like George Russell and I
Yeah,
think a few others like Alonso, you had to get their 1954 auto, which again, not a huge fan of that design.
fair.
So yeah, I just overall there are obviously some pluses, but I think overall, and again, there was blasters of this available, so
Mhm.
that was
Yeah.
cool. But again, you're not gonna hit anything out of it. So
Tell that to Chris. Tell that to Justin Incident.
well, that was just an incident when he
It
kept
was.
hitting all these big Lewis Hamilton cards this year.
Super fractor camber out of a blaster. But in general, yes, I agreed. Yeah, you the hit rates are awful in the retail products.
And your number 5 was, oh, look
Chrome.
at that. We
Hmm.
agreed.
So quick question for you. If we had broken out qualifying lap, you have it eighth, right?
Number 1. Yeah, it was
Because
8th.
then we could do a bracket. But I still like the idea of I'm gonna put all the products in. I like that idea. But I might break out qualifying lap when I do that. Anyways, I
That's like in the
digress.
NIT. That's like in the NIT bracket.
Oh my god. Oh, if you
Or
know,
it's
you
like
know.
the play-in game to
Yeah,
get
it's like the
sacrificed to 2020 Dynasty or something like that.
yeah. Do you think they'd accept the invitation for that IT? Because
They
some
might
teams don't.
they might decline.
But yeah, so fifth, I also have Chrome. So Chrome, for a lot of the reasons you said, fell flat a little bit, right? I think I will say when it first came out, I think it was well received, right? I think, it was our first time like, oh, the grid looked amazing. And
Mhm.
those cards have skyrocketed, by the way. The values on the grid cards are going insane. If you've got any, especially if you can grade in a PSA 10, they are worth a lot. So Ultrasonic was great. Obviously, Helmet Collection has been amazing. This is the first time we got to see it. So when it initially came out, it was like, oh, this is an upgrade on 2023 Chrome. Obviously there's no Oscar
Mhm.
rookies, but like just as a product itself. Um, but yeah, I mean, once other products started coming out, like Logo and Sapphire, and like Helmet Collection is the biggest thing from all of this, and you're like, Jesus, I can go through 6 cases of Chrome and get 2 green out of 99 helmets, and then you go through Logo 6 cases and you've got 30 helmets, and the worst one is going to be out of 50, and then same thing with Sapphire. So it's just compared to those, I think it kind of doesn't stack up. The one thing I will say that made me actually almost put it in fourth, it was close to my fourth. I was very close to putting it there, is the fact that the pad autos were in here. Um really does add a surprise element and a big hit element to these cards. And like there are big cards in Chrome. The Lewis Hamilton Superfractor Auto sold for over $30,000. Like Chrome, when you hit big, it is big. And the fact that they have those pad autos in Chrome is actually such a boon to the products. That again, I almost put it in fourth, not quite for me. But yeah, I think again, I think it's solid. I think being here in fifth actually isn't bad. But yeah, I agree. Fifth is where I've got it.
So my fourth, I went with Sapphire.
No,
which
I'm
and yeah.
can't believe.
And Scott's actually just leaving. He is actually not having any computer issues. So my 4-5 combo here is actually, for me as a collector, to me it's ranked here because of the snafu with including the pad autos in Chrome, and the fact that Sapphire hits then become, you're looking for paper, you're looking for the redemption. You don't get that immediate gratification, which we have not talked about it yet on the podcast yet, Scott. I will probably save the deeper dive for this, probably one of the episodes next week. Some of the redemptions have actually started to surface.
That's
We
right.
have
We've seen a
seen
few of the speed demons, right?
speed demons have started to show up, and I think some others are on their way soon.
Oh yeah.
But I think they made the best of a bad situation. Rewind 10, 12 episodes ago when we talked about that ad nauseum. But for me, like the hit rates out of Sapphire still weren't that great, where you're going through a case of Sapphire, and especially if you're looking for helmet collections, you might get 1 to 2 helmets out of a case.
Yeah.
And when you compare it to, like you just said, with what you could do from Logofractor, and the fact that although I will say it was nice to get the autographs in Sapphire this year, most of them are all base and just absolutely loaded with Dennis Hauger and other drivers of the sort.
Well, if it's Dennis Hauger, that means it should be number one, baby. Come on, the Haug.
And I actually was talking. I mentioned earlier, I was talking to Ferg, and we're actually evaluating a Lewis Hamilton base Sapphire autograph. And I've personally seen 2 at P1 Castle Grading / Q3 Cards. And I think those, Scott, are extremely short printed for a lot of the F1 drivers. Like maybe
100% agree with you.
maybe under 10. And Lewis does have a red. So obviously it's potentially a sticker shortage, and they had a lot of F2, but I tell you, it doesn't feel great to open like a case of Sapphire and you're getting mostly F2 autos, and you might not get a lot of helmets. And it was nice to get Camber and Speed Demons as hits in Sapphire as well, but I just overall, it just didn't have the luster that it has kind of in the past for me.
Sure. Yeah. So just a quick before we go to my fourth, guys, I'm looking for a new co-host after this, because the blasphemy that is coming from up here, just I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know.
We did make it 53
if
episodes before I get fired, so
yeah, that's right. So you got to be able to
the
come
episode
on.
is not done. It's 52 and a
say
half.
P1 Castle. Don't say F1 Castle. Send applications. So my number 4 is Finest. So I really do like, there's a lot of good things about Finest, and this is why I ultimately put it above Chrome, because when it first came out, I wasn't sure. I actually, if you had asked me right when Finest came out, I probably would have flip-flopped Chrome and Finest. But now that we've had it for a while, I ultimately do have it above Chrome. And I think one of the fun things about Finest is how many superfractors there are. What, it's like 586 or something. It's an insane amount of superfractors. So it is your best chance, without a doubt, to get a 1-of-1 gold vinyl superfractor, which is awesome, because that is something that's hard to come by, right? Not every collector, especially if you're opening Chrome, I mean, the hit rate is tough. So it's nice. Granted, I opened a superfractor in my first case, and I went 26 cases without one. Although now I'm on a hot streak. In my last 3 cases, I've gotten 5. So we're doing pretty good lately. Because again, the average, you're going to get about one in every 4 cases, roughly. So that's really cool. Another good thing about it is, we talk about, yeah, portraits are awesome and like other ones aren't, just in general, like pictures. Every card in the base set is a portrait. Every single card, right? 1 through 100, and then, 101 through 200, 201 through 300 for the common, uncommon, and rares. Every single one is a portrait, which is awesome. And I think, that helps values long term too. But for me, again, I go back to like one of the reasons I said about Paddock Pass. Like, I just don't love the car autographs. I do love the fact that they're like chrome. It's all chrome. And by the way, I will say I think Finest, and you would know better than me, but I think Finest may have the best QC out of any single product in 2024. This stuff, again, it was made in Italy. Like, the stock is amazing. It really was reminiscent of the 2020 stock minus the whole clipping issue. So that was a huge plus for me. Like, for that reason alone, that was one of the big reasons it came in above Chrome. There are some really cool inserts as well. I love Intimidators. I know it's not for everybody, but it's one of my favorites. I feel like there's a lot of different inserts. Like, it reminds me of Paddock Pass, but make it all chrome, make it all portraits, have a ton of superfractors. So it's literally like Paddock Pass, it's like Paddock Pass, but just better. Just make it better. And so for that reason, yeah, I've got it in 4th. Right in the middle.
Bless me. I had it a lot higher.
Yeah, well, we're about to find out.
All right. For me, 3, Logofractor, and you had Logofactor 3 as well. I just figure we can just
Sure.
talk about this at the same time. So I'll start. I will give you the alley-oop here to finish this one off. But out of all the products this year, although I will say probably Finest, I was probably the least interested at first, and I came around very quickly to where I was wrong. And I just was basing it on, I had ripped a lot of Finest Soccer a couple of years ago, probably right in the boom of like 2021. And the quality wasn't great, and the hit rate wasn't great. So it's like, oh, okay, well, they're going to do Formula One for this. It's just not going to be that great. But Logofractor, like, this is a fad. This isn't going to do anything. Like, what do you mean there's only 2 packs in the box that actually have anything good in it, and the rest of are all just base? And I have trust issues, Scott, and I still had to open one of the base packs every time just to be sure that there was just base cards in there.
I've seen a lot of them open now after like giving away a ton of them at the track and like doing riffs with people. Yeah, there's nothing in there.
Yeah, there's not. I finally caught the error of my ways there, but those 2 packs, Scott, were like opening a box of Sapphire. Like, it was great. Yeah, sometimes you had right off the rip the first card was a hit. Sometimes it was a rose gold 1-of-1.
Could
Again,
be.
lots of rose gold 1-of-1s in this set, and because there wasn't a lot of boxes and cases produced, you had a really good chance of getting a 1-on-1 in this set. So again, like
Easy chance.
a lot of basically the same set as Chrome, no autos, and quality was pretty decent. I will say that you had a lot of the similar things you run into. Chrome, like, sometimes there's like that like scrunching like fingernail indent on the front of the card. Sometimes when they're, pressing it together, sometimes the back just looked like somebody took like, a pen and like just dug in like indents. But for the most part, it was really cool, Scott. And for me, the reason why number 3, helmet collection, black Logofractor out of 10,
Yeah.
just the best. I know we just had a PSA 10 pop for UK card collector,
Oh, that's
Guan Yu
right. The
Zhou.
Joe.
It just
You've
looks
got a couple
awesome.
other ones.
There's a lot. We have been gemming a lot of helmets lately,
That's
and
right.
yeah, Logofractor, pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, basically for all the reasons you said, I like logo. I mean, and another thing that I'm going to throw out here, which I think has to be taken into account when you're ranking all these products, is price point. The initial release price point, if we scaled everything, I think like if we actually scaled everything based on its initial release price point and what you get out of it, I would actually have had logo one, and it wouldn't have even been close because logo was like under $100 a box at retail. Now, granted, that quadrupled very fast. You know, they're like 300 a box now. But if you were able to get them at that price, oh my gosh, it was insane. And it was funny because I remember I was actually at F1 75 Live when this product like came out. So, and I was like a little late to it because I was like, oh, I'm traveling, I'm like doing this stuff. And like, or no, sorry, I was in Singapore for New Year's. So I was in Singapore for New Year's and like I hadn't really picked up that many cases and everything. And I'm like watching it and I'm like, I don't know. And then like I remember watching people hit 2 1-of-1s in one pack and like
Mhm.
3 in one box. Literally 5 minutes later, I like called all around, picked up like 40 cases. I was like, yep, nope, we're going in because this is going to continue to go. And it did. It continued to go up and up and up and up. And now they're like, 6,000 a case. So really fun product. To your point, I think the best thing about it specifically, helmet collection. My last case that I ever opened, 20 boxes, we hit 11 helmet collections, which is just crazy. Like that's just unreal. And this is what I was talking about. We hit a black Max and Lewis, which we sent to P1 Castle grading for Dave's card. So that, I mean, dude, in one case, a black Max and Lewis, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So yeah, for all those reasons, Logo Fractor, yeah, my number three, really, really good product. I will say this is a product that I don't know how it's going to do next year. This could be another product where it's amazing its first year. I also like the look. The F1 logo across the whole thing really does a lot for the base cards. But I don't know. I don't know if I wouldn't bet on seeing the same price trajectory. Like it's not going to quadruple. It's probably also going to start higher than it did last year. Same thing that happened at Jalenza. So yeah, really good product for 2024, even though we have 2025 product rankings on there, thanks to me. I'm gonna fire myself. So now we're looking for two hosts because we're both fired.
Ferg wanted to come on the podcast. He might just have to do the whole thing
He'll
himself.
do it by himself. We'll be like, hey, you can come on, you can take it over. All you. And then maybe we'll get more viewers.
My number two was Finest. So I had it 2 spots higher than you did.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of the same reasons, I love the photography. I love the portraits. I love the variety, the background, especially the rare, where it almost looks like a watercolor, like paint splash in the back.
Yeah.
And I initially, when I first saw these, I'm just like, that looks way too busy for Formula One. You think Formula One, you think 2020 Dynasty, just black and white photography, just classy, classic. You think high, clean. And for me, it just really worked, especially where, a lot of these, driver suits now and the helmets also are full of color. It just, for me, it worked. A lot of different kind of autographs, like intimidators and starting grid. Like you said, maybe not my favorite with the car on the featured prominently with, with a sticker autograph, but paying homage to a lot of the really cool inserts from the 90s with tops. And I think it just worked. I really loved the fact that you got 2 relic cards per box on average.
Yeah.
And the autographs look fantastic. They just look like, again, like where the sticker autograph goes, it looks like it was just kind of like splashed on with a paintbrush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a cool element
Super
for the
fractors
standard one.
galore. The 2 Oscar superfractor portraits that I
Oh,
was lucky enough to
that's
get.
why you like it.
I do. I hit those graded with PSA, just popped PSA 9s. potentially coming to P1 Castle consignment. If we can make that happen.
Oh yeah,
We are
we
gonna
can
make it
certainly.
happen.
It's gonna happen.
I've got some eyes on some potentially some other PC items of the Dynasty variety. I'd like to move those
Ooh.
into. So, but anyways, I think overall it just and the thing that I like too is there's only what 6 packs per box or 8 packs per box.
6.
6. You're getting hits galore, whether it's the blue.
Mhm. Yeah,
I will say though, I'm not the biggest fan, Scott, of the die cut cards. Um, it's just that part didn't work for me, but everything
it's unique.
else absolutely loved.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't begrudge you. Also, like you said, it's a really good quality product, so you being kind of a prepper grader, it's not
Yeah,
surprising
so
that you've
they
got it up there.
minimal surface scratches, a couple print lines. One thing I would say to people to look out, and I've been going through a lot of finest actually today,
Mm.
and going through a lot. Not notches like 2020 did, but if you're holding the card vertically up and down, just be careful on the back edge. Just look to make sure it's not kind of like bubbled on the bottom. So it
Mm.
actually looks like you can actually see it through the top loader. Um, it is fixable, but I'd hate to see people kind of expecting a really big grade and it kind of get dinged for that. It's not on all of them. It's only on a few, but just be careful. Make sure you
Be careful out there, folks.
inspect your cards in the finest way possible.
Ooh, what a pun. Very punny, Brian.
I
All right.
try.
So my number 2, and I'm not going to talk about it at length because obviously it's the only product you haven't talked about, so it's going to be your number 1. But Dynasty is my number 2. And the big reasons I like Dynasty, overall design aesthetic, I think is great, phenomenal, in my opinion, best since 2020. Vertical jumbos are insane. My favorite cards from 2024 Dynasty, and the introduction of booklets. They're not really my thing per se, but some people like them. I think it's cool to have, because when you're opening, it's like, oh, booklet, so like it's really fun to have the booklet. The dual booklets are cool. Even the solo booklets are awesome too. So I really like Dynasty. I thought it was one of the best products of the year. Thought it looked great, and for that reason, I've got it number 2. But Brian, tell me why you have it as the best product of the year in 2024. Don't ignore the number up there, 2025.
Well, we are talking about it in 2025, so
True.
that's why we
True.
had the Freudian slip.
Good save.
Yeah, no, for a lot of those same reasons, I think this is by far the cleanest dynasty that we've gotten since 2020. 2020 is always going to be at the pantheon at the top,
Alright.
but I think for my money, 2024 has the cleanest design. It just looks sharp, like you said. The jumbo vertical cards, they just pop. The photography's better. I love the variety. Just look at the flow chart, Scott. For me, if there's a helmet involved with the driver, whether they are wearing it, they're holding it. A lot of the photos featured the helmet this year, so that's near and dear to my heart. But the patches were just insane this year. They were so much better, even out of the tens. The triples were much better. You didn't most unless it was like a team principal, you didn't always get like 3 napkins. There was some variety there. I just think there was a lot of care put in to this product this year, and you can tell it's the flat. To me, it's the most prominent product that Topps puts out every year.
Yeah.
2023 wasn't their best effort, but I think they really made up for it. And in closing, just because you had the opportunity to pull the card for Dave's cards, we had the
And
opportunity,
Jeff.
and Jeff to, just to see, especially the zipper patch, Michael Schumacher. We've had the opportunity, Scott, to be part of the story of a lot of big cards in the Formula One car hobby, but that was the one card that while I had in my hand, I was like, this is something that Michael Schumacher, was a part of. And the fact that we're probably never
Right.
gonna have that opportunity again, it just, I don't know, it was like one of those, like, really cool, like, just pinch me moments of being extremely lucky to be able to be, part of the hobby like we are.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was awesome. I mean, and to pull 2 of the total 3 cards that Schumacher, all one-of-ones, had in the product was surreal. That first one was nuts because obviously, you never think you're gonna get 2, but yeah, wow, what a wild ride that was. Epic product, really, really good product. Absolutely no qualms whatsoever with you having a number 1. My number 1 though, and the reason you're fired and we're looking for a new host is because I have Sapphire number 1. And now, yes, I will give you the release was uh shambles, to put it lightly. Between the Chrome product having pad autos and then it being released, but then not released, and then released, but wait, and then release. Like,
Mhm.
I was literally ripping it and then got called and told, hold on, you can't rip it because the date changed for the release date. And no one told anybody. And then it's on the website and then it's not, but is it? And it's not. Yeah, it was weird. So that was unfortunate. However, I think that it was a blessing in disguise that those pad autos were put in Chrome because now I think this is in 2020, you kind of just can't count. I think just 'cause it's first year, whatever, you're just never really going to compare to it. I think this is the best Sapphire product ever created. And I think it's the best Sapphire for a few reasons. A, first time Sapphire has ever had a full suite of autos. Last year it had Sapphire selections, but there's only 60 autos in total in the entire product. This year we've got a lot, right? Thousands. Yes, there's going to be a lot of F2 similar to Chrome, but like this just like puts the beating on Chrome because the Chrome, it was always like, oh yeah, well, Sapphire is cool because you can chase low number of portraits and variations. But in Chrome, we've got autos, we've got inserts. Well, now Sapphire has autos, but not only that, Sapphire has inserts. And that is actually one of the biggest reasons that Sapphire is number 1 for me this year is the inclusion of inserts. The helmet collection alone makes this product phenomenal. I've seen many of the pad helmet collections up close on consignment or pulling them. They are gorgeous. Red helmet collections out of Sapphire are selling for insane numbers. And the QC on it is pretty good. You've jammed quite a few of them. Um, Purple out of 10 looks great. I will say I do love the black out of 10 logo fractor, but purple out of 10. I mean, Lewis Hamilton, purple out of 10 is just phenomenal. I love that, even the Speed Demons, the Cambers, the 1954, like they're all better than their Chrome versions. So for that reason, it's amazing. And then the last reason, and to me, this is actually the most important, but the inclusion of the redemptions. And why this is so important is that Topps was faced with an issue. They had messed up. They had put some of the biggest possible hits in the wrong product. And there could have been a lot of ways that went. And what they ultimately came up with and implemented into the product, I think was game changing, was product saving, and was innovating. Like they did an amazing job. So now not only do you have speed demons of, the F1 drivers and the select F2 drivers, but now you've got speed demons pad autos of every F2 driver, of every F1 driver, right? They expanded the checklist. You got helmet collection pad autos of every F1 driver. Again, they expanded that checklist. Instead of just 15, it's 20. And this is something that, like super elite collectors care about. The pad helmet autos are going to be very, very special. I know Jeff put a poll up and was like, where would you rank, Superfractor helmets, pad helmets, pad helmet autos? Like, which one would you say is best? And people put Superfractor. And now this was after he had posted like, a Superfractor and a pad or whatever together. Maybe. But here's what I'm going to say. A, we haven't seen them yet. We are going to see them very soon, as you teased earlier on. I've got some of them already on their way to me. Next week, we will show some on either the first or second episode of the week. The design is actually going to be different. I know we've made, here in the P1 Castle, we've pulled quite a few. We've sold quite a few on consignment, and we did our best to make a mock-up, right? We basically took the pad helmet and then put what it could look like with like the white part. We made them on guard. It looks like all the speed demons we've seen so far coming back are stickers. Still holding out hope, but likely going to be a sticker. But I do think it is going to be actually a different design. I think it will be a little bit different. I don't know entirely what it'll look like, but I think it'll be different. And where I'm going with this and what, really high-end collectors care about, and just collectors in general, is the uniqueness. Right now, helmet collection, as amazing as it is, you can get it out of chrome in a superfractor or all those parallels. You can get it out of sapphire in a pad, all those parallels. You can get it out of logo fractor in rose gold, all those parallels. The only place that you can get a helmet collection autograph is sapphire. It does not exist in any other product. And for that reason, I actually think they are the most elite card in the entire year. I think that helmet collection, pad autos, once we have them and we've got them in hand, I think they are going to go down as the best card of the year for your money, right? I mean, obviously, I think there's some dynasty cards that are going to be worth more, but you're paying so much more for dynasty boxes, right? In cases. Whereas I really do. And it's also funny the way that it's worked out, Brian. I mean, right now we're sitting here and it's about to tick over to the 24th of May on the East Coast. But we've seen a lot of these helmets come out, the helmet pad autos. We have not seen the Lewis. The Lewis is still out there somewhere. And I think that is pound for pound one of the best cards in the entire product line for 2024, ranking in 2025. So yeah, so I could go on and on and on about Sapphire, but yeah, those are the main reasons for why I've got it as my number one. I don't besmirch you for having it fourth, although I joked around about kicking you off the podcast. I respect your opinion, but yeah, for me, Sapphire, I'm gonna have it as number one.
I would have been more concerned if it was like we had the same ranking.
Well, yeah, then it's boring. And
And it
then
is
we
boring.
go from 37 viewers to 35. We'd lose people. Now
Yeah,
we might hit 40 with this one because we argued a little.
people love controversy. The
People
YouTube
love controversy.
the YouTube algorithm likes discourse and
Absolutely. I mean,
disagreement.
if we have like a wardrobe malfunction, we could maybe hit triple digits.
Perhaps.
I
don't know. I think overall, Scott, I think it was a fun year of products.
Absolutely. One of the best. Honestly, I think the best collectively, the best since 2020. I think Topps did a
we
great
got
job.
new products, and I know longer, and I hate saying like longer term because you're only 4 years into this. It's basically 2021 is the first year that we got 2020 products, and the complaint was, well, they're giving us way too many products, and those in the hobby would say, have you seen how many products you get for basketball, football, soccer, baseball? And then you've got unlicensed, like you've got Panini doing baseball, but they can't, use any of the licensee stuff. And you've still got Topps that's waiting for Panini to give up the license. So, that there's just my final statement here would be there is something available, especially from 2020 to 2024, all years, all products. Literally collect what you love and find the
Yeah.
deals. You will find the
Mhm.
deals now. Like there are some, you know, there's some cult classics that people really enjoy that are still very affordable. 2022 light and there's you have so many options as a collector and you have the ability to, and I think because there are so many now too, where we didn't have a lot at the beginning, like attaining like a Max Verstappen, a Lewis Hamilton card was, this is going to cost you an arm and a leg. And there are so many products out there now too. Is it, we're getting more of these cards in collectors' hands. We'll have the
Mhm.
ability for kids to be able to collect these affordably now. You mentioned it, Scott. You're giving away the base packs from Logo Fractor at all the different events and stuff.
People are
Like
loving them.
I can't I guess I can imagine it. It's just the joy on people's face when you open up a pack of cards and you're at the event and you don't even know that these things exist. They don't
No.
care if they hit apparel. They're looking for their favorite driver, their favorite team.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, I know it's funny. I was just in Utah, doing a premium consignment trip, and the clerk receptionist at the hotel that I was staying at was like, "Oh, like, because I had some Formula One stuff." And they're like, "Oh, what do you do? Like, are you in town for work or like what's going on?" So I kind of explained, what the business was and stuff. And and I do this every time I travel now. I bring like 20 of those logo fractor packs with me because I have so many. And I was like, "Yeah, here you go." And she's like, "Oh," and she was so excited. And she's like, "Oh my God, I didn't know cards existed." She's like, "I'm a big Charles Leclerc fan." I ended up giving
Wow.
her 10 packs, no Leclerc in
Oh,
all I know, but she's like, "Oh my god," she was all excited that everything. She's like, "This is so cool." And she's like, "Oh, I gotta go find some online now." And I was like, "Be careful." And I was like, "Be careful. It can, it can get expensive." But yeah, people are just excited, to have something, collect their drivers. It brings you closer to the game, to the race, to have a piece of it. But I agree with a lot of what you said around, obviously there's way more products. I mean, this year, Logo Fractor, Finest, and Paddock Pass are all new. So three brand new products in the year. And yeah, it seemed, especially as it was happening, it was like this unrelenting wave of new product after new product. And, I know a lot of people that are joining breaks for feeling burnt out and, just like the wallets get thin. If you're constantly shelling out for breaks or buying Percy's and buying products and you're trying to collect everything, I think Formula One collectors are gonna have to adapt, right? Because I don't think there is ever gonna be a reversion and we're gonna get less products. I think we will continue to get more products. I think within the next few years, we will be at double digits. We will be at 10 plus products. I do think that Tops will make a better effort to spread them out over the year, which will help. But I also think as a collector, you got to make a conscious decision what products you want or don't want. And I had folks who were like, "Listen, I'm just not into this product," right? And say I had a mixer because I ran some of those mixers where I ran like, I think I had Sapphire, Logo Fractor, Chrome, and Paddock Pass. I had 4 product mixers sometimes. And a lot of people that liked all those products were so excited about it and they loved it. And then some people are like, "Oh, I really don't like half of the products, like I'm gonna pass." And that is something that you're going to have to make those decisions. Like, don't buy into a break or buy boxes just because it's new. If you know from this year, "Oh, I didn't like it," just stay away. Watch the breaks, and people will be ripping the stuff that you do like still. So I think there's going to have to be a little bit of adjustment for folks as we get more products. You're going to have to collect what you love. Like you said, make that decision. The good thing is that more options is never a bad thing, right? All it means, like, and listen, if you say you love Chrome and all of these other products are dragging people away from Chrome, you know what that means? You're probably going to get better deals on Chrome because
mhm.
you're going to be one of the people that love it. So in the end, it will work out. So stay the course, collect what you love. And yeah, I hope we get an even better offering of products in 2025. I think this 2024 is going to be a really tough year to beat. But I know 2025 obviously, got a lot of rookies. We got a certain Sir Lewis Hamilton in a red suit, so I think we're going to see some good stuff. But last thing I'll say in closing, when we talked about this before the podcast, Brian, what our collective kind of, if you take our rankings together, what they would be. And so Dynasty would be number one with, a 1 and a 2. Sapphire ends up actually still being number 2 with a 1 and a 4. And then it's kind of tied between Finest and Logo Fractor. But if you use, kind of F1 scoring on countback, highest result, Finest would end up coming in 3rd. And Logo Fractor is 4th, which is funny, being that we both have it ranked 3rd, but it ends up being ranked 4th collectively. That's how it works. And then Chrome would be 5th, and then Echelons and Paddock Pass would just kind of take the last 2 spots. But interested to see, let us know in the comments kind of what your rankings would be.
Yeah, 1 to
interested
7.
to know.
Rank them in the comments. I'd love
Yeah.
to get
1
kind
to
of
7.
a collective
Tell us
poll.
why
Tell us
we're
why
wrong.
we're wrong. Yeah, we are wrong.
Exactly.
That was said in unison. Again, in moderation. I can't ask you, Scott, what your prediction may be for, newer products or new types of products, just because, potential NDAs, but I'm
That's right.
not under one and I don't know anything. So we've already got 2025 Lights Out, which featured past World Driver champions, which
a lot of legends.
Featured Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari suit and paraphernalia, which I don't think we've even talked about Lights Out yet.
No.
On the pod, we'll have to.
Did we? Maybe not.
I think it kind of was like it came out
brushed
like when
over it.
we brushed over it.
Yeah.
We'll cover that at some point. I don't know. I'd love to see another Dynasty type offering where
like a flawless
type of thing, mostly horizontal. On card autos have to be a must. Just tops. Don't put that little little diamond emerald looking thing in every card. The thing you could get from like a like a Hobby Lobby for like $1. Like, don't just put that on a card and say that it's a premium card by
Dude,
any means.
Those are genuine sapphires and emeralds and diamonds. Okay, don't you come at Panini like that.
Come at
actually
me.
Have no idea.
I don't know either. They look cheap. That's all I gotta
Cubic
say.
zirconium.
But yeah, I'd love another Dynasty type offering in some capacity.
So it's funny you say that, and I know I've seen like jokes on like Lameme James made a joke about it. Do you remember the old Skybox basketball cards, like 1988 or 1990? Those Skybox. Yep. So Lakers logo Skybox sold for like $1 the other day. Flawless with like the 1 of 1 all gemmed out Lakers logo sold for like $10,000. I will say, man, logos are very popular in Formula One, especially Scuderia, Ferrari. If they made a flawless type Ferrari logo and there were like red rubies in there, bro, I'm telling you right now, that card goes for insane amount of money. Insane amount of money. So who knows? Who knows?
That would how about a logo fractor, like we actually have team logos featured more prominently. I know you get into like the licensing issues. Cool. Yeah, but
I mean, if they've got the licensing for the logos that are on the team already, I feel like they could work that out. I think what ends up happening there is like it just becomes harder for them, right? Like, trust me, if they did something like that, we're gonna see errors where it's like one team's like, oh, Max Verstappen car, but it's got the McLaren logos all over it. Look at that, it's crazy. That would definitely happen. I think it would be a cool idea, though. I actually really like that. And there's something else that I really, really like that I definitely
I won't even put you.
I already know, and I can't. And I've mentioned it in the past, but I can't talk about it.
I will. We like NDAs here.
That's true. Yeah. So that is our 2024 products in 2025 discussion rankings. It was fun.
All right, a couple cards for sale on consignment with P1 Castle Premium
Yeah,
Consignment.
we're gonna
Let's
end
just
with
run through these pretty quick.
a few bangers here. So we have got, speaking of, you were talking earlier about finest Oscar Piastri superfractors. How about finest formulas? Relic Oscar Piastri 1 of 1 superfractor with the Coca-Cola patch. Beautiful card. 6,000 or best offer. Then we have got, oh, look at that. Max Verstappen finest formulas superfractor 1 of 1, also 6,000 or best offer. Max's market is actually a little bit ahead of Oscars in general for like 2020 for finest, but I think the patch on Oscars is a little better, which is why they end up being the same price. And the last card we have here is an absolute monster,
Nuke.
and the timing could not be any better. This is a 2020 Topps Dynasty Charles Leclerc Monaco flag patch out of 4, PSA 10, pop 1. This card is insane, and it is right now Monaco Grand Prix weekend. He was first in FP1, first in FP2. He may win it all, and this card is for sale, 55,000 or best offer. And there you go.
Just simply lovely.
Indeed. All right. Well, that is the pod. I can hear Sebastian crying, so I've got to get to.
Well, let's get to that catchphrase quick. Get in your bracket picks, your pick'em challenge.
Don't forget your pick'em, guys. Get them in. We gave you a preview. We'll post this up early. Get them in.
Grid
But in the
Gainers
meantime,
on Tuesday, and we'll
that's right.
hit the catchphrase here.
And we'll see you next week. In the meantime, collect your cardboard and keep it carbon.